Hey guys, welcome back to Pillbox Movies. I'm Hank, and today we're going to be watching the 1958 Bengali film, Jalsaghar, or The Music Room. This is a film by director Satyajit Ray. Satyajit Ray is considered one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, with some of the least exposure in comparison to his cohorts. I believe Akira Kurosawa once said that not seeing a Ray film is like not seeing the sun and moon, and I have never seen a Satyajit Ray film. The Music Room is considered one of his best, perhaps even one of the greatest films of all time. That's a tall order, I gotta say, and there's no accounting for taste, but I'm interested to see what the film has to offer. So yeah, let's check out Jalsaghar or The Music Room. And before we get started, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. I like the swinging chandelier. I wonder what's the meaning of that. It is an interesting contrast to me. Like, how short classic movies are in comparison to modern, but still how much time old movies or classic movies take in kind of describing or illuminating or presenting a singular idea, like this swinging chandelier. Like, the economy of this storytelling actually brings things more into focus rather than less. Alright, so we kind of had this aristocratic character forefronted, but his estate seems to be in a state of disrepair. What month is it? So is he hearing like actual diegetic music, like in film music? Or is the music, the soundtrack, meant to like evoke something in like an abstract way? Ananta. Okay, so it is an actual instrument. This is another one of those instances where I wish I was kind of more in tune with the culture and the customs in which this is played, in which this movie takes place. Like, I wonder what's this specific kind of ceremonial music that's being played? What are the kind of customs of him getting a direct invitation or a mailed invitation? Is this supposed to be speaking to his kind of fated power or position in the community? And I won't say this is for certain, but kind of showing off the decadence of this generation, showing off like the glassware and the enamel, and the chandelier, the centerpiece. This huge, huge mirror. His vanity on full display. It is a beautiful mirror, though. This is truly like the setup of a rich person's room, to have your back to everybody and yet be able to see everything. So you can see everything and nobody can really see you. And I like this kind of framing of showing his father or his family line in the painting behind the people he speaks to, kind of informing what his attitude or his decisions will be. Okay, and we're establishing that the main character does have a fascination with music. Okay, so it's the Roy family. Very familiar. It's kind of like the paradox of the wealthy, that they invest so much of their money and efforts into things that are ephemeral and delicate, things like glassware, things like music, stuff that's transitory, but I guess in that is an expression of opulence. Is he coking up? I will say this about the rich. One good thing they have brought us is delicacy, subtlety. Okay, so he's been leveraging the family fortune on, I don't know, business ventures or extravagances for his son. It's an interesting expression of virtues, of the desire to appear virtuous in the wealthy and the aristocracy. This kind of positioning of virtue as like public spectacle, as reputation, as community benevolence for the sake of being seen as a community leader. Like how rich people now donate to charitable organizations as a tax write-off. And again, tying in with this visual idea of opulence, the like heavy velvet wear, as well as the all-white horse. It's really... I'm enjoying this tension of this kind of father and son bonding, because this is like it's a beautiful scene, but it is like very subtly it has brought in the tension of the kind of financial burden the husband has put the family under in order to provide this lifestyle for their son, and the kind of strain in their relationship with their mother, and both their desire to like care for and raise their child. And so there is this kind of very, on the surface level, a very, very beautiful scene of kind of human connection, familial connection, and appreciation of art. But just underneath the surface is this undercurrent of tension that is kind of beautifully faceting the scene and informing the scene. It seems very simple, but there are like really kind of effective storytelling techniques in terms of contrast of costuming in this movie. Yeah, I was gonna say, so like all of the kind of workers are bare-chested or wearing kind of simple garbs, and I was gonna say they were all kind of barefooted, and I was waiting for the reveal of the son to be wearing shoes. It really gives you a sense of how filmmaking is an incredibly holistic storytelling medium, and it uses all the elements of the frame to kind of express a story, whether or not you as an audience are receiving that information, and whether all artists or filmmakers are cognizant in employing those devices. And again, all of the kind of the servants are on foot, and the young master is on his mare. This is the sort of thing that like modern American films have kind of made up for using dialogue, and I want to stress that you don't need to use dialogue to explain everything that's happening in the frame. If you want to learn how to make expressive, dynamic storytelling, you can take a lot from these kind of classical filmmakers in learning how to balance and compose elements within a story, within a visual and narrative story, to communicate these things to an audience, to communicate wealth, status, privilege, ennui. All of these things have been said about the main character without ever saying it in dialogue. Like how often we're framing every other character to be facing towards the camera, and him being slightly aloof, him facing away or to the in profile in a lot of these compositions. Okay, and so the new world now is kind of interfering. It's imposing on the very slow and lethargic lifestyle of the old and aristocratic. And see, for this head-on shot we have of him, he's actually he's at a distance. He's always kind of not always, but in a lot of shots, they're maintaining this aloofness to his character. Oh, Mohim was the one that he was asking about the invitation in the first scene, right? Mohim sent the written invitation. And he always has his relations in like paintings in frame. Rich people be petty. Raja. This motherfucker, he's gonna spend the last of the family fortune just to show up his neighbor. Jalsaghar. Ominous sounds of wind. The ship hasn't returned yet. I like that. He was observing the outdoors, he was observing with the wind blowing again, and now we get a message that the ship hasn't come in with an image of the sea. Chandeliers again, fully lit. And an ill wind is blowing for his wife and son. Wonderful use of music for storytelling in this early film. It's so seductive and hypnotic, sorrowful, and the music itself is like kind of it's a wonderful metaphor for expressiveness and economy. There's very little presentation in the music making itself, in the musicians, in their playing and their singing, but all of the kind of emotion and subtlety and nuance is communicated within the music itself. It's an expression of how art is a medium that communicates through balance, through composition, and through contrast. This dude's got bars. Oh, beautiful filmmaking. You can't even hear the storm happening outside, but you just see its suggestion. I recently did a video on The Girl Can't Help It, and I didn't realize it until I kind of saw it again in the editing, that the music was actually expressing interior thoughts of the character. It's a very simple kind of musical technique in film to have that kind of layering happening, but we see that happening here as well, the lyrics of the old singer's lyrics. And we get this kind of layering of symbols or narrative elements with the wind that blows, that's expressing his kind of anxiety over his wife and son, also being the wind that's blowing the chandelier and causing it to drift, and that drift also expressing a kind of tempo in alignment with the music. So it creates this kind of jumble of symbols and metaphors that kind of creates what is like a memory to us, how all these things kind of fuse together and are kind of tied inexorably to express the emotion or trauma of a time in our life. Very, very, very beautiful filmmaking from Ray. It's a wonderful, wonderful contrast that we see Chhabi Biswas so much. We see so much of his back in this movie. And the movie starts with a direct address of him facing camera to kind of show him broken down and vulnerable, in contrast to where he is for most of the film. And with his son dead, we'll see him front-facing. Beautiful, beautiful discordant music. It's really, really great filmmaking. It's really, really powerful. This character who showed his back to us for so much of this film is now forced to face us. It's terrible. Now they're framing him in the room with the empty bed where his son was the last time we saw him. Second to last time we saw him.
আপনি যদি একটু নজর দিতেন তাহলে জমিদারির জমি সবই তো জল সব অতলে তলিয়ে গেছে.
And the first image was of him looking out at the water, maybe the sea, but I think about like looking out at his like empty pool.
আমি নিচে যাব না. যাকে হুজুর শোনো.
He'll be tempted back to the music room.
ওস্তাদজি নিচে রয়েছেন. তাকে পাঠিয়ে দেবো. গান বাজনা শুনবেন.
He can't listen to music anymore because he associates it with his son's death. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh. It's beautiful, beautiful storytelling. Beautiful filmmaking. Really, really vital storytelling. Makes you really miss it when you see it done so well. Like storytelling that's not about like hitting you as hard as possible, not about kind of like cheating you or manipulating you into an emotional response, but storytelling that is direct enough, is frank enough for a child to understand, but is on other levels like subtle enough or kind of withholding enough to ask you as an audience member to engage with it, to kind of figure it out, to unravel it. Wonderfully layered storytelling. His horse! I didn't realize the horse's name was Tufan. It's like watching Giants all over again. You just see those modern machines ravaging the landscape, destroying what was old and sacred. Oh damn, he's got nothing left. Hateful Western music. What are those kids listening to these days? A very, very small thing, but you kind of see this is meant to like heal up Moti. You see their contrasting behavior towards animals. That the master, despite his bad qualities, loves and is affectionate towards animals, and Moti is kind of a bitch. Again, showing the back of the master. You can't have a Jalsaghar. Jalsaghar is my thing. Don't poison him. That'd be weird. That's not where we want this narrative to head. But he can still hear that music. Really interesting use of of animals in this movie. Just a small presence of animals in some scenes to kind of express a kind of storytelling like the dogs used to express like the loneliness or desolation, along with the birds, or the fly in the tea used to express like an ill omen. And this is the music from the intro. I wonder if it's been used any other time so far. Beautiful carpets. What's he saying? Just beautiful carpets. What are some of your favorite films that have been adapted from a short story? This was adapted from a short story, but like, it's hard to think of some examples off the top of my head, but The Swimmer, for example, based on the short story by John Cheever. In the Bedroom is based on a short story called The Killings? Shortcuts is based off of the short stories of Raymond Carver. The Carver verse. Why?
মহিমের বাড়ি কৃষ্ণাবাই কত নিচ্ছে? আগে 200 হুজুর। তোমার তহবিলে আছে কত? দেবতারের তহবিলে 300-র বেশি নেই হুজুর।
Music is my deity.
কৃষ্ণাবাইকে চাই।
Don't dismiss Ananta. He's been serving you this entire time. Wow. Don't usually get to see him so up close. Make some room for more of these like old man's follies films. This, Lashian, Scarlet Street, The Irishman. Make room for old women's follies stories too. But a wonderful repository for a certain kind of narrative.
কিন্তু ব্যাপারটা কি রকম হবে বলুন তো? এই আমার কাছে যেন একটু কি রকম ঠেকছে।
It's weird that he keeps the little model of the ship underneath the pictures of his dead wife and son.
ওই রে, কেউ আছে নাকি? হাওয়াটা করো।
This bastard just walking around with that kind of money. Insert most deaths gone.
বসুন। একবার শরীরটা ভালো তো আজকে?
I am always a proponent of a movie ending with a dance-off or a dance sequence. I'm such a huge fan of music and dance as an expressive form in the medium of film, because it is in service of filmmaking as a storytelling medium that isn't just served by written language. It turns it into something more primal, at the root of how we communicate with other people. I will never not love dancing in film. It is genuinely, for me, one of the most beautiful expressions of humanity. And it's like a wonderful paradox that as ephemeral an art form as dance could be captured in film. Like for me, dance is like one of the like purest forms of like cultural preservation, of showing off a certain time and region. But it's also like in its own way immediately expressible and understandable. And it just cuts across that time and that distance. It's a very vital art form. And it's, again, that kind of storytelling that it's can be taken on a surface level as a very kind of, on the surface, a very kind of beautiful, expressive set piece. But contextually, you infuse it with the kind of knowledge of Roy's kind of fallen estate, his position amongst his friends, the loss of his wife and son, his own kind of despairing and closing of his heart to music. All those kind of little things inform the scene. It's a whiplash scene. Yeah, he's giving over the rest of their fortune, and he's the one who gets to pay homage first, because he's the true appreciator of music, I guess. This is stupid fucking old man. I thought this would be a catharsis for him, but it turns out he was just trying to get one over. It's it might just be like coming from my own kind of approach to storytelling and my own preferences, but this kind of reminds me of what is it, like a 2003 movie, Being Julia. Being Julia is a really memorable movie for me, but also kind of really instructive in particular in how it's a movie that kind of wants to have its cake and eat it too, in terms of wrapping up the resolution, the internal conflict of the character, and her also having just an external conflict of victory and slapping her rival across the face, like just beating her, one-upping her. And that's not usually what I think of as like a kind of a fruitful resolution. Like, you can't just base your success as a character based on defeating your rival. That's not really showing interior growth. The blood in my veins. Yeah, and I guess they're not showing that for this either, that Roy believes in his victory, but he hasn't really achieved it because he's made up. He's like moved the goalpost. He's made up a reason to think that he's greater than Mohim. Because of lineage, because of old blood. If he cared about blood so much, he would have taken care of his family.
My granddad, my great-great-grandfather, Ishar, Ravan Ishar.
You always got to remember, the servant is the moral core of the film. So whatever Ananta is thinking, that's what you, as the audience, is meant to think. Always go with the first servant, unless the first servant is a betrayer. This is true of Knives Out. This is true of Fellowship of the Ring. It's true of the Batman series. Always go with the first servant.
To you, my noble self.
Bad omen. Is he gonna get killed by the chandelier? Is the chandelier gonna fall on him? Cool. I like that idea. The light goes out. I'd love for there to be like an actual ghastly or mystical element, because he used the money that was consecrated to the deities. It's kind of like it's the supernatural or super realism, magic realism kind of thing. It kind of reminds me of, in the American tradition, like oh damn, who wrote Fences? August Wilson. It reminds me of August Wilson and this kind of tradition of like having a realistic play for the most part, and then just having the element of the supernatural or the godly towards the end. Like I think of most beautifully in The Piano Lesson. Oh, so beautifully, so beautifully in The Piano Lesson. That you have these characters that live in the banal and the real, but their lives are touched in the end by the magical. And it's like kind of this expression of like a shared family history of like the stalwartness of the African American experience of victory, of overcoming, all these kind of disparate ideas expressed through a supernatural event. Boom. Ooh, his son's horse. Tufan. So dangerous. How did they get that shot? I'm guessing they were drawn on a carriage and shooting it. Blood of the poet. The gods demand a blood sacrifice. And yes, blood expressing his like late obsession with his lineage. That blood that you're so proud of, we shall spill it. Awesome. I really enjoyed that. I really love the opportunity to watch movies of old men's follies. It's a wonderful kind of reprieve from the need to exalt our protagonists. There's kind of an obsession with showcasing protagonists that are winsome and likable and relatable, hashtag. And I think, like a lot of what was said regarding this film, that relatability or connection with the character doesn't necessarily have to be drawn from maximalism, from giving you exactly what you want. It could be drawn from contrast and balance and allowing the audience to be kind of grown up to make their own minds up about the story. So this kind of presentation of an old man and his feverishness, his anger, his stupidity, his conceitedness and arrogance, I think it allows the opportunity to tell a really expressive and human story. I really enjoyed like a lot of the filmmaking elements to this, especially for the sequence leading up to the closing of the music room, the Jalsaghar. I think that was just really powerful filmmaking, and this was a wonderful kind of first step into Satyajit Ray's filmmaking. I'm excited to see some more. So yeah, that was Jalsaghar. Let me know if you've seen any Ray films, if you have any recommendations. Click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. And until next time, keep watching good movies. Why the fuck did I do this?